After the 2019 loss in the NBA Finals, Curry said in the press conference, "Losing is more motivating than winning. The main message, I'm not close to done yet. 3 NBA championships already, back-to-back MVPs, the best shooter of all time, and per ESPN, the 13th best NBA player of all time. And if Durant, and perhaps even if Klay doesn't get hurt, very likely the owner of another title. Any team in the NBA would take him, and a lot of teams had the opportunity, and instead, they drafted these players." Ciao friends, welcome to Takes in Fuego. Today we will take a look at Stephen Curry and how and why it all went wrong for NBA teams in the 2009 NBA draft. If there was ever a Cinderella story in the 2008 March Madness tournament, it was Davidson and the young Stephen Curry. The 10 seed had a long shot of being in the first team, Gonzaga, let alone the number 2 seed Georgetown and number 3 seed Wisconsin after that. In their matchup against Kansas in the Elite 8, the number 1 seed played Davidson and Curry tough. Curry scored 25 in the game, nearly half of Davidson's 57 points, but it just wasn't quite enough. Kansas beat Davidson by 2 points. It would be the smallest margin of victory for Kansas throughout the entire NCAA tournament, as they went on to win the championship that year. Flash forward to the 2009 NBA draft, and there was a unanimous number 1 pick, a franchise cornerstone you could build on for years, and that every mock draft had going 1 overall, as his gap between him and the second pick was humongous. This player could finish around the rim and played with passion and was fearless on the court. That pick was Blake Griffin. ESPN, Bleacher Report, Draft Express, and the Los Angeles Clippers all had him going number 1 overall. His lack of shooting was thought to be coachable. His passion and athleticism as he ran the floor and put his crotch in guys' faces was the gotta have it characteristic of the draft. As we now know, the Clippers and Griffin put together some good years with Chris Paul and JJ Redick, but ultimately fell short in a number of playoff series. If the Clippers had made the quote-unquote right pick, who knows what Clippers basketball would look like today. They probably wouldn't have Kawhi or Paul George on the team. There was a seemingly unanimous number 2 pick as well. Bleacher Report, ESPN, and Draft Express all had him going number 2 in the draft. One website wrote, "Is this player Olajuwon or Olowokandi?" Well, I love the Candyman as much as the next guy, but that's not entirely what I like to hear in my number 2 pick. The Memphis Grizzlies drafted Hasheem Thabeet out of Tanzania. He was drafted based on sheer athleticism. The 7'3" player ran the court as well and as fluidly as a 6' guard and was, well, tall. He was thought to need a tremendous amount of work on offense, but could be the best rim protector on the court just by showing up. At a certain point though, potential is just potential. Right, Andrew Wiggins? After averaging a 3.1 and 3.6 in his first season, he was assigned to the D-League before his rookie season ended. He became both the tallest and the highest drafted NBA player to go to the D-League. He was then traded with a first-round pick for Shane Battier and bounced around several teams before finally being waived by Detroit in 2014. As a stereotypical sports announcer would say, I bet they wish they had that one back. The number 3 pick would come up to be an MVP himself. With Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook already on their team, the Oklahoma City Thunder made the right move and drafted James Harden to complement those pieces. He was already thought to be the best scorer in the draft. In fact, he shot over 40% from 3 his freshman year. There was some concern about what position he actually was. He was seemingly too small and overweight to be a 2 guard and was seemingly not athletic enough and too overweight to be a point guard. But the way OKC transitioned him as a 6th man and everything that's happened since has been perfect for him. OKC became the most talented team that never was up until the bizarre James Harden trade to Houston, which opened up his career even more. Obviously, can't be mad at Oklahoma City for taking Harden here. This pick is where controversy started to occur in the draft. ESPN had Curry going number 4 here in their mock draft and would have changed the Sacramento Kings history, maybe forever. So they took Tyreke Evans instead. His potential as a scorer was astonishing, and his 7'3" wingspan was helpful for his draft position. When you take a look at Evans' stats, he looks like an absolute beast, averaging 20 and 5 as a rookie for Sacramento. These became to be known as empty calories though. He was never on a winning Sacramento team in his 5 seasons there and bounced around as bench player in the league on several other teams. Draft pick number 5. It's time. The Minnesota Timberwolves need a point guard. They're covered at the larger positions with Al Jefferson and Kevin Love. They have some pieces to build around, and you have the best point guard on the board. Here it is. So they draft Ricky Rubio. In literally every mock draft I've seen, Rubio is going before Curry. Why? Well, according to his draft profile, he, quote, knows how to flop. That's not the main reason, I guess, though. He had a high basketball IQ, a great sense of the court, and seemed to be a step of everyone else on the court in his time in Spain. There was a lot of concern before the draft that depending on who drafts him, he may stay over playing in Spain. And he did, for 2 more years. Draft pick number 6. It's time. The Minnesota Timberwolves need a point guard. They know the one they just drafted will likely hold out for 2 more years before coming to the NBA. They have some pieces to build around with Big Al and K Love. And you have the best point guard on the board. So they draft Johnny Flynn. This is perhaps the most unforgivable of all the draft picks. You got the right position and the wrong guy twice? Flynn started off a bit stronger his rookie season, scoring an inefficient 13.5 points per game and shooting 41.7%. After realizing they made a great mistake, Minnesota brought him off the bench his second season and he shot 36% overall. How sharp of a contrast it would be to bring in the greatest shooter of all time, alongside Big Al and Kevin Love, or however they decided to flip those assets in the future. There's no reason to think the Timberwolves saga wouldn't have ended differently from its current state. Perhaps no Andrew Wiggins, perhaps no Jimmy Butler situation, perhaps no perennial losing. But why? Why didn't they take Stephen Curry? Well, according to Stephen Curry himself, there's a story out there that David Kahn, the Timberwolves GM at the time, did not draft Stephen Curry because he knew he liked golf. And he thought Minnesota couldn't provide that for him. Here's some advice for the folks at home. If you're drafting basketball players based on their golf preferences, you probably shouldn't be an NBA GM. There's a story about how Stephen Curry was invited to Kobe's basketball camp. The country's elite players were at this camp. The best high school shooting guards and 10 best college shooting guards were invited. A lot of these players went on to the NBA. The least recognized player, as told by one of the coaches, was Stephen Curry. The camp involved 2-a-day drills as directed by Kobe Bryant. These were long, intense workouts. A half hour before every workout, Stephen Curry was on the court shooting. As other players walked in with their flip-flops, Curry was in a full sweat. If he did something that wasn't perfect, he would do it over again without any coach telling him to. Before he left the court, he made himself swish 5 free throws in a row. Curry wasn't the most talented guy on the court that day, but there was no doubt he was the most disciplined and hardest working. As the story goes, success is not an accident, success is a choice. Well, Stephen Curry chose success and titles years and years before it happened based on his habits, and 6 choices went wrong or debatably wrong. If you watched through till the end, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button, you'd help me a lot with, algorithms and all. For who will be the number 1 pick in this draft, check out the videos on the screen and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more of the goods.